can pay liquor.
Potholes are such a common sight on our roads that they're now jokingly referred to as our national emblem. We've become so used to them that they rarely raise an eyebrow these days. But that's not how our crew reacted on a recent trip to Tshwane.
That's where they encountered what some have described as potholes on steroids. Massive sinkholes impacting roads, businesses and homes thanks to crumbling public infrastructure. Lorenzo takes a tour of Centurion's wildest attractions.
Imagine waking up to find your gate 2 meters below your driveway. That's the reality for some residents of Centurion outside Pretoria.
That's the first one that fell. Obviously, the second one is the one on the corner on the other side.
So you are between two sinkholes?
So we are on an island here.
That hole is where it started.
Yeah.
And then it just became bigger and bigger.
It's been here for nearly a year and a half now. The last sinkhole closest to us now fell 2-3 months ago in March.
Like a quarter of Gauteng province, Centurion is built on dolomite, the same rock that formed the Sterkfontein caves over billions of years. The difference is, in Centurion, they don't know where the caves are.
So you cross fingers and hope that it's not going to happen.
It's quite difficult to see a sinkhole from ground level. And with 63 sinkholes in Centurion, we needed a higher vantage point. So join us as we set off on the Great Centurion Sinkhole Safari. We don't have to travel far to spot the first one. The roads are closed, yellow barricades and hazard signs warn of the danger. There are so many sinkholes in the area, the locals say they're living on cheese, like Swiss cheese. It's well known that Centurion is built on dolomite. In fact, there's so much of it, they've been mining it for decades. But dolomite dissolves in acidic liquids like stormwater, rainwater and sewage, which means that a leaky pipe can spell disaster. This is Centurion's newest sinkhole outside the Dutch Reformed Church in Littleton.
There was a leak. It was unfortunately not detected. And when it was detected, it was too late. The flange was leaking, caused the secondary area to be dilapidated and collapsed onto a secondary piping, which is the Rand water pipe.
Wesley Jacobs represents the Freedom Front Plus in the Tshwane City Council.
The crux of the matter is the dilapidation of the old asbestos piping, the old infrastructure. You know, for far too long, the infrastructure of this particular area has been neglected. There has been no upgrades for the last 70 years, let's call it.
A report published in 1950 warns that sinkhole danger zones should be accurately identified when developing in dolomite areas like Pretoria. But the warning was ignored, and Centurion was developed in the 1960s. A recent map shows the high-risk areas in red and the medium-risk areas in yellow. The red dots on this map are all the sinkholes south of Pretoria. I've always heard about the sinkhole problem in Centurion, but it's only now, standing 2 meters below the road, that I really understand how bad it is. And for me, it's personal. My grandparents went to this church. Their funeral services were held here. And I can only imagine what they would say if they could see this. Research shows that 97% of Centurion sinkholes are caused by leaks. Just a block away from the church is another one that formed 2 years ago. Tido Voogd shows us the asbestos pipe that caused the damage.
So how long it was leaking, I do not know, because you couldn't see anything visually from the top.
How old are these pipes?
I don't know. I live here 45 years. And as far as I know, they have never replaced the pipes.
The sinkhole means there's no proper drainage for the street, and in heavy downpours, his garden is flooded.
All this water that comes down goes through my property. There you can see it all. onto the lawn.
Gert Jeloff owns 2 houses across the road that he rents out. Street access is blocked off by the sinkhole, and for 2 years they've had to use the neighbour's driveway.
How much have you had to spend to ensure that your tenants can actually access the road?
Well, I have to put up a strong electric motor there, lay on electricity. I have to get 16 remote controls for the gates.
Do you think there'd be any way that you'd be able to sell this property again?
Oh, there's no way you can sell it. Whoever will invest in the houses on the moment, it is impossible.
But that hasn't stopped the city from increasing the market valuation of its properties by more than double this year.
We pay rates and taxes here to the extent of 700,000 rands a year just on property tax for this little 2,000 square meter stand. And that's the service that you get.
Tarsha Zitske is the CEO of Foresight, a listed company with offices in Sewage and Centurion. When a water leak on the pavement caused a sinkhole in March, their boundary wall collapsed. As yet, there are no plans for repair.
A senior city official wrote back to me that we must do an assessment by an engineer of the entire hole, and then they will look at it as well and reassess, because they don't have staff that can do that.
And they expect you to do that?
So they expect us to do that and give them the assessment, and then what will happen? So I got a mail back saying we are, at that stage there were 40 sinkholes in the area, and you are number 40.
This sinkhole is number 13 on the city's priority list. Lucky number 13, it seems, as it's finally being repaired. After more than 3 years, people have learned to live with it.
We don't know what the caves look like underneath in the dolomite, so they can be massive, they can be small. This one is a little bit on the deeper side.
A drone shot reveals the cavernous depths beneath the road. Civil engineer Jaco du Plessis explains that no 2 sinkholes are the same, and they take time to be assessed.
It takes quite a bit of money as well. Sometimes you have to come in with a drill to drill around it to determine where the cave is and how far the cave extends.
How much does it cost to fix an average sinkhole?
I can't give you an average cost. It's almost impossible to say. The one on the N1, they use 22,400 cubic meters of concrete. So that's 23 million rands, just concrete.
So there's no perfect solution to fixing a sinkhole?
No, preventing it is probably the better way, but it's very difficult.
So we go looking for possible solutions. On our journey, we find former Tshwane Mayor Silje Brink. He's been called out by a concerned resident to inspect a stormwater drain.
So you can hear this water. It isn't rain, so this isn't stormwater. That's a leak.
Do you have technology as a city to detect these leaks?
Yes, 2 years ago, the city concluded a partnership with the Danish government. And as part of that partnership, they provided technology which uses sound waves. And I'm using ordinary language to describe this. There's a more sophisticated way of doing so. But it tells you essentially where there are underground leaks, and then you can dig it up, and you can prevent pipes from collapsing completely, and you can stop leaks. It's not just good for preventing sinkholes, it's also good for saving money.
Next, we take a detour on our whistle-stop tour to meet Nomvelo Mkhize, a geologist from the Council for Geoscience.
So the science is there, but obviously there needs to be investment into science to get to a point where we can comfortably say that we have necessary measures.
What are those measures?
Like your basalt fiber pipes, which we have seen around the world that can work better in such areas. So with the development of science and putting measures in place, it can be mitigated.
Basalt fiber pipes are highly resistant to corrosion, even in acidic conditions. But too late for Centurion's biggest sinkhole. When the ground gave way in 2022, so did the sewage pipes, which played havoc with a neighboring hospice.
The sewage came through the bathrooms and the toilets, and it came running from that side, and it came through this side as well, and all the sewage, that grey, horrible, smelly, stinking sewage came through there.
Like a river?
Like a river, yeah. And we had to remove the patients because you can't have them in a situation like that.
Manager Dorothy Y says the foul-smelling flood happened 5 times and led to the closure of the hospice.
The last one was so horrible. And the municipality came and they said, now they're going to build the bridge with the pipes underneath, lift the pipes so it doesn't run in here.
The bridge alone cost 6.5 million rand, but the sinkhole, which is 20 meters deep, is still growing. Neighboring houses suffered structural damage and had to be abandoned.
So now we've seen the big 5, which means there are only 58 sinkholes to go. But we can't possibly get to them all in one day, but neither can the city, because there's no quick fix and there's not nearly enough money.
With a budget of only 15 million rand for sinkhole repairs, it would take years just to repair this one.
But now that we've got a funded budget, we are going to be able to borrow money from various banks so that we can invest in replacing the water pipes and also investing in the sewer infrastructure.
Member of the mayoral committee, Nomvelo Mkhize, has applied to national government to have Centurion declared a disaster area.
This is a disaster, and we need to have that help. And infrastructure, I mean, it's after years and years, it's very difficult to expect the municipality on the budget that we have to address 63 sinkholes, so they need to do their part as well.
Have you done a cost exercise on what it will cost to fix the sinkholes in Centurion?
Just doing the repairs to the sinkholes, we had worked out that we need about 350 million.
And how much will it cost to address the pipes and the water infrastructure?
Much more than that. I can't even quantify it at this stage.
So for the residents that are desperate for answers about how long this will take, do you have a realistic answer?
It's very difficult. What we do have in our control is the fact that we are going to make sure that we respond to the water leaks timeously. We are also going to make sure that we go after the people that keep on drilling boreholes.
In winter, there's some respite, but when the rains come, Centurion will be living on the edge.
It's reported the sinkhole shown on the N1 took 2 years and a total of 280 million rand to repair.
Sure. After the break, the dangerous world of black market beauty products.